Puna Geothermal Venture quarterly community meeting, the first meeting of 2024. Our agenda for today will be an opening by Mike Kellikini, the PGD Senior Director, and then we'll have a PGD facility update from Jordan Hara, County of Hawaii update from Jennifer Myers, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. The next community meeting is planned for Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. If there's any change to that, we will announce it on the website and or press release and on social media. You can always check the website and we'll give you updates for the next meeting. The project updates will be presented first. A Q&A will follow. And please, we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation. We have received some questions in advance, so during the Q&A portion, we will review those questions in addition to taking questions from the audience. The session is being recorded. We will post that on our website so others can view the meeting afterwards. And the recording will be posted to the Puna Geothermal Project.com website. Please give the presenters the courtesy to speak uninterrupted. There will be plenty of time at the end of the meeting to ask questions. During the Q&A, we will try to switch between questions taken live and questions that were submitted in advance. Once everyone has had the opportunity to ask a question, additional questions may be allowed if we have the time. Be respectful. Disruptive behavior that disturbs the orderly conduct of the meeting will not be tolerated. Any behavior that threatens the safety of another person will not be tolerated. Abusive language will not be tolerated. Failure to comply with this code of conduct may result in removal from the meeting. We thank you all in advance for your cooperation and participation. As I said, questions will be addressed during the Q&A portion of the meeting. And as a reminder, you can submit questions in advance at www.punageothermalproject.com. And at any time, if you have any questions or concerns, please call our toll-free response line. It's 808-369-9014. And now I will turn it over to Mike Kellikini for opening remarks.
Well, one last thing too, though, I mean, we must have missed it, a 2-minute maximum question. We missed it on the
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. Yep, and thank you all for coming to our first quarterly meeting of 2024. I hope everybody had a nice holiday season. 2023. I think 2024 is looking to be a greater year, and we're really excited to come out and provide you guys with updates. And to that effect, we'll turn it over to Jordan and give us an update with what's going on at the plant.
Thanks everybody for coming. With the plant side, currently ongoing, making power. We've been averaging about 33 megawatts a day in our current condition. We have about 8 units normally running on the top side, 2 on the bottom, so a total of 10 units. Right now, currently we've got 7 on the top side and 2 on the bottom because we're doing work on one of the units. But other than that, the normal has been 8 and 2. We are looking at early this year reworking KS14. That's a production well. And so we're going to be looking at, it's a well that currently is out of service, and we're looking at doing a clean out on the well, and hopefully we can get that back producing. So that's the well field activity that we're anticipating should be first quarter of the year. Other than that, I mean, for the plant side, that's the biggest thing we got going on, other than just the normal everyday routine.
Thanks, Jordan.
Now we'll introduce Jen Myers, Disaster Recovery Communications Specialist for the county.
I made graphics this time. I'm really excited about them. So I wanted to take the time this during this meeting to kind of give you guys a full picture of what we do in recovery for the entire year of 2023. So we're going to start with the road and water line project. We had the final environmental assessment that was published. We had the public comment period, which, by the way, was so important because we heard from folks that they wanted a reordering of our phases. So we took the time to back up and say, we hear you, and so we took the time to reorder the phases, so that's new. We got the notice to proceed, granted by FEMA in December. So just to remind folks, this is all great money that we get from FEMA, but we can't spend a dime of it until we get the notice to proceed from FEMA, and that is what all the work that we've been doing over the past 2 years has kind of been leading up to this very important thing that we got in December for the notice to proceed. So this is us finally getting the baton handed to us so we can now break ground in Q1 of this year, possibly Q2, but right now what we're doing is all the important finalizing of the plans and also procurement, which if you're not familiar with government procurement, it's a really long and lengthy process, but what it makes sure is that we get the right people to do the right job at the right price. So we're in the middle of doing that right now. Fingers crossed to have the first shovel in the ground at the end of Q1, possibly beginning of Q2, so we're going to be looking at that here in the next couple of months, but we're excited about that. If you have any questions, I've put the full timeline on our recovery website, and the good news is if we get any updates between now and our next meeting, which should be in 3 months, I'll be putting all of our updates on our website. So recovery.hawaiicounty.gov/infrastructure. For the buyout program, next slide, we made a ton of progress this year that we are super excited about. We spent $34 million just this year on families who were impacted by the 2018 eruption, and that's $34 million that goes to families who need it the most, who lost their primary home. Thank you. Like, we've been working so hard. We've got a really great team of people that spend every single workday, basically from sunup to sundown, making sure that these people get the help that they need after the eruption. So $32 million for the entire year, but the entirety for the entire program is we've dispersed $54 million, which is incredible, and that's 282 families that received aid, which is immense. We still have a total of 811, so we've got about 530 remaining applicants. This is for phase 2 and for phase 3. We are hopefully starting phase 2 here in the next couple of months, and when that happens, we're going to be transitioning away from everybody in phase 1 and then moving on to folks who had their second homes impacted, and then eventually phase 3, which is undeveloped properties. Next slide, if you'd be so kind. So we're not just about the recovery efforts in terms of just giving money out when it comes to people who lost their homes, but we also do our grant programs. We have 2 of them. We have Kilauea Recovery Grant Program, and then we also have our Puna Strong program. The Kilauea Recovery Grant Program is really neat. It's funds from the state of Hawaii and the Recovery Office. It's $3.3 million for this round. This is our second round of this grant. So $3.3 million is going to 16 different organizations that are just in Puna. So this is like organizations that a lot of you deal with on a regular basis, the people you see at the farmers market, people that you see posting flyers. These are the people that get this government grant funding. It's also for things like roads and rebuilding things like infrastructure that was lost during the eruptions, but not infrastructure in terms of roads and water lines, but infrastructure like gardening facilities. So important parts that help lead us. Next slide. Then we have the Puna Strong grant program. This is round 3. We've given $608,000 for this round. It sounds like a lot less because the other one is $3.3 million, but what is so cool about this program and is so different from the other one is we don't just give the money to the organizations, and these are organizations just like the other one, but this one is more focused on not just giving money, but we also take organizational patterns and training from HCF, if you're not familiar, Hawaii Community Foundation. And we actually help these organizations build from the ground up so that they help their social media, they know how to spend their money, they know how to go through the grant process. It's not just giving folks money, it's also walking them through all of the process to make sure that they make the best decisions for the community. So that, we're really proud of that. This is us as a whole group. We're really happy with the group that we had this year. Next up, these are just slightly out. Oh, that works too. Did anybody see the Napa Auto Parts new blue wall? That bright blue? Nobody's driven past Pahoa, Napa Auto Parts, it's like vividly blue. Anyways, that's part of our paid Pahoa Town project. We basically looked at Pahoa and we said, who can we, with government funding, help beautify the outer parts of the building? So like Napa Auto Parts was really run down on the outside and the paint really needed replaced. So in cooperation with CD4, Council District 4, we have a paid Pahoa Town project. So we painted Napa Auto Parts and Boogie Woogie Pizza. So if you see them and they look all nice and shiny on the outside, government funds at work. We also had Kuikahi Na'awao, which is a fabulous program that the government instilled that basically puts the OPO, the youth of Hawaii, Hawaiian youth, in government positions and then helps the people who, like me, are not Hawaiian, learn the language, learn the culture. We do lunch and learns twice a month where we spend time learning about the history, the culture, the language, stories. Oh my gosh, so many great ancient Hawaiian stories that we learned, and it just focuses us to make sure that we are being as culturally grounded as possible. And it's a really neat program, and we're really proud of it. Next up. Revitalize Puna. Did anyone go to any of our Revitalize Puna events? We had 3 in February, July, and October. Our next one comes up March 9th, so keep that on your calendars. We had more than 800 folks attend this year. The mayor was there. We had Ashley Berkowitz, DLNR. We talked about the boat ramp. Tons of updates on the roads and water line projects. We were really proud of that. And we did 5 local vendors to do free food at the event. So we paid local vendors to make food, and then we displayed them at the event and fed people who came, which was really great. We kept it local. Next step. Okay, so if you need any information about this, you can email me. I have my card here if you'd like it. Or you can just go to our website at recovery.hawaiicounty.gov. Thank you.
Jen, thank you. You bring a lot of enthusiasm to our meetings, and we're always pleased to have you give us the updates. So I was curious, anyone in the audience benefactors of the 30 million plus that's been?
No, we get no help.
Okay.
People that remain out here, we have no roads, no money for gas. We get no water, no boat ramp. We get lip service, and now it's going to be second quarter of 2024, maybe if the ground breaks.
I think it'll be Q1.
No, well, there's not even a flag up there, or a survey flag, or nothing.
Well, we've already done the surveys.
For the
The
road.
bottom of Koiki you have.
We've already done the surveys.
We haven't seen any, not one person's seen
Thank
anything
you
in there.
for the update. Thank you for the county. And it's been a long time coming. We understand it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time working with the federal government. But that's a lot of funding and a lot of folks benefited. And it's too bad more of us in here have not. But look to the future. So with that, we'll get into a Q&A. Corey, thank you for sending your questions at least a day in advance because it's very helpful. Okay, so a few questions from Corey. So the first one is, now that the final environmental impact statement is done, what is the construction schedule? So once the clock starts, PGB has 36 months to complete the project. And the clock hasn't started. But that's the agreement.
The EIS expires after that? Or what?
No, the EIS won't expire,
Oh,
but the PUC needs to acknowledge that the EIS is completed.
oh, so PUC deadline.
We did the EIS because the PUC required us to do it.
So if you go past the 36 months, what happens?
Then we would be subject to default of the contract. We have a contract agreement, and the agreement states that once we start construction, we have 36 months to complete the project.
And the contract is with who?
Point electric.
Oh, okay.
Same folks that we have the power purchase agreement with today.
Yeah.
Okay, so two, when does PGV expect to start generating 46 megawatts? We anticipate generating 46 megawatts within 36 months. We do have the ability to start exporting as low as 30 megawatts and then continue working with new equipment to ramp up to 46. But within 36 months is our target. Question number 3, will PGV stop generating power at any point during construction? Yes, we would, but it's separate from construction. It would be Jordan and his team performing scheduled maintenance on the power plant. And if the maintenance requires that the plant be shut down, we'll shut it down and perform maintenance. We do that every year. It's a normal thing for a power plant.
So maybe once a year? Or
Once a year.
For a few days?
For a few days, Jordan?
Yeah, about a week.
A week.
And then we do a partial outage, semi-annually on other equipment that we clean out and do work on. But maybe the question is too, if we're gonna take it down to transition to the new plant?
That's another question.
Oh, sorry.
No, but when you go ahead and explain that.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
depending on, you know, one, we'd like to test the equipment to make sure everything is running good before, of course, we totally transition. So we may be able to tie in, test run the equipment, make sure it's all good, and then transition, bring up this equipment, take down this equipment, ideally. But there may be some total downtime depending on the circumstances.
So we had similar experience when we went from 30 to 38 megawatts. So there were times where we had to shut down to connect certain piping. So it's not going to be an extended period of time, like several weeks or months. It's just going to be brief.
But and if we plan accordingly, when we have these outages, where we can put in timing, right, so that we can close this valve, open up this valve, and transition to the new stuff seamlessly, ideally.
Our goal is to minimize the downtime. Okay, question number 4, what permits does PGB need for the planned construction? The permits for planned construction are always with the Department of Public Works, it's like grading and building permits. And then the follow-up question is, how long will it take to get those permits for construction? However long DP, Department of Public Works can work with us. I think they got their new system going up and running, and some folks have reported that they've received permits in as soon as 30 days or so. But this is all permits for construction. Number 6, what opportunities will public have to comment on those proposed permits? I'm not aware, Corey, of any public input on DPW. It's not any requirement anyway for the developer to hold public comment periods. But if you come to our quarterly meetings like you have been all this time, you're going to have the first updates on all these permits. Okay, what is the output of the newest production well compared to what was expected? So I got the feedback from our resource engineer. We had expected, or we had planned for the well to produce 8 megawatts. Right currently it's producing around 10 megawatts. So a little bit better than what we had planned. And so we're happy. And Jordan explained how we're at 33 megawatts around, plus or minus. And then, Corey, you asked about a new power generating unit to increase production to 37 or 38 megawatts. That, I believe, we discussed is the equipment that Jordan mentioned that we're repairing. So it's the equipment that we have on location. It's not totally brand new, but it's equipment we're working on. Once we get that in operating condition, we'll place that online, and that should help us to go about 33 megawatts as long as we have the available resources.
When do you expect that to happen?
Anytime now. I think we're starting up number 11. Okay.
Yeah, 11 is in a couple of days. We anticipate 22 maybe next week. But availability, resources is something that we always got to check on. See if it's worthwhile. We start running all the equipment and
So that's the refurbished equipment. It's not totally new. like the repower project that we have to go to 46, all of that will be new equipment. The one that we got to construct in 36 months. Jordan mentioned this question, you talked about drilling. Jordan mentioned we're going to rework gas 14. That's all we have planned so far. It's a rework. It's a well that's not contributing, but we're hoping that we can rehabilitate it and hopefully it can contribute to what's been planned.
When you rehabilitate, does that mean you're going to be drilling?
It means you go in with drilling pools. It doesn't mean that we're going to drill new wells. We think there's some scale buildup, there's some rocks that came in from the formation that's blocking the flow back. So it's really like cleaning out.
So is there any danger, at least,
It's the same risks that we encounter or we have to face when we drill new wells because there's pressure down below. So we have to have the LNR come in and look at the flow prevention and the procedures and everything to make sure it's safe.
The one good thing is it's already an existing well, so then, and in fact, this one has been relined, so there's multiple casings in it already. So really, we're just going in to clean out, hopefully, any debris, start flow paths again, and try to produce it. We only anticipate a few megawatts from the well, but you know, we're trying to at least get something out of it, because right now it's not producing anything.
So the other thought process is it's not contributing. So if we don't clean it, if we're not successful, then we just have to spend money to try and clean it out. Whereas if we go and try to do work on the existing one, we have to take that out of service, and whatever contributions provided, we can take that away.
Was it affected by the eruption?
It's more than likely affected just by operating it because the rocks, when the geothermal fluids are going into the wellbore, rocks will follow the flow path and they just get stuck in there and then build scale. It's normal that scale builds up in our geothermal wells.
So we recovered this, well, actually, PS14 was the original pre-lava event, and then after lava event, we recovered the well, as in we renovated it, got it back to surface, and then yeah, it was flowing and something happened down hole where it clogged up. I mean, example is even our water pipes, our normal local water pipes, if you ever open it up internally and look inside, there's a lot of like calcium scale, whatnot, right? Rust, depending on what kind of pipes. And so, you know, think about you're gonna remove with the diameter, the internal diameter type reamer, right? You clean it back out so you get more flow. Same thing.
I grow the rooter from similar to that.
And if you get like Mike said, a rock or something that kind of hinders the flow path, that friction point is where scale will break out more and clog it.
How do you get big rocks in there?
I mean, it's a hole in the ground that if you, any place you dig, right, in the bottom is open hole. So as you're sucking up, you can pick up rocks. And that's why we have rock catchers. So when it comes up the hole, you go through 2 master valves, then you go through 2 isolation valves, it branches off. Then you have actually rock catchers. The rock catchers will give a maze of a flow path to drop out any rocks or pebbles in there. Then it goes through your control valves. From your control valves, that's what separates the high pressure and low pressure sides. That all the low pressure side is what we take to the plant on a common header. We separate that between your brine and steam. Steam goes up to the steam plant, brine goes to the brine plant. But yeah, we anticipate rocks.
So, and this hole is what, 4-inch ID at the bottom? I think
I
so.
thought it was 5.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so this hole is relatively small. It's 4 inches across, so the rocks aren't that big. 1 inch, 2 inch, or a combination of several 1 inch rocks will prevent flow to the surface.
What well bores are 4 inch?
Yes.
Which ones?
KS14.
Okay. Question number 11. What steps has PGB taken towards producing hydrogen? Oh. Well, let me answer the hydrogen question now. Go back. None. PGB hasn't done anything related to hydrogen.
Any plans in that?
No plans currently. But question number 10, what's the status of the power purchase agreement? So I presume you're probably speaking towards the new power purchase agreement. Okay, so that one there, we had 2 amendments at the PUC. They were recently approved by the PUC. So the power purchase agreement actually was originally approved in March of 2022. 2020, excuse me. Right. 2022. In March of 2022, the PPA was approved, but it had a condition that we needed to complete an environmental review. So we've been working since 2022 to today on the environmental review, which is the EIS. So the PPA is ready to go. It's been approved. We just completed the EIS. It's a matter of the PUC accepting that it's completed. And
I thought the county is the
36 months.
accepting and the approving authority.
The county is the accepting authority.
Says
But
they're
then-
approving authority. PUC didn't want to be the approving
That's
authority.
correct. But the PUC said, PGB, go do this. So we need to show proof that we did what they told
Right,
us.
so it has to be accepted by the planning department, and they have 30 days from January 8th, which is February
Yeah.
8th, to approve it.
Right. So Sarah's correct. The county needs to accept the EIS. The EIS information needs to be passed on to the PUC, that the EIS has been accepted, and then that will in turn, as long as the PUC concurs, will start the clock for 36 months for the new project. Got that, Corey?
So PUC approved the power purchase agreement?
Yes.
They were just waiting on the EIS?
It was a conditional approval.
Oh.
And the condition was PGB perform environmental review because folks' input from community members and everywhere else said, hey, we want PGB to do an environmental review.
Yeah.
So PGB decided to do the EIS. So that EIS process is towards the tail end right now. And like Sarah says, the county needs to accept it. And then that acceptance.
No, they accepted it already. You gave it to them last month or the end of the year. They have to approve it. It's like 2 separate things. They accept anything, but whether it's approved or not.
Okay, the county needs to accept the document.
Right.
Got it, Corey?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Number 12, sorry. What bills have been introduced at the legislature that relate to geothermal? So we, PGB, have not introduced any geothermal related bills.
Any others that are geothermal related?
No, I'm not aware of any.
Not Hawaiian Homeland, getting money for drilling on Hawaiian Homelands that you're a board of director.
So there may be, but I am not aware of anything from Hawaiian Homelands. There may be other senators, representatives that, would like to see some geothermal activity in 2024. But I'm today not aware of those. Maybe next quarterly meeting I will be. Because session just started, right?
Yeah, they haven't put the bills up on the
Yeah.
thing yet. I've been looking.
You've been looking.
I've been
You haven't
looking.
seen any geothermal
Well, I mean, I didn't look this week, but I looked, it's not,
last week.
it was just stuff from last year.
Yeah, we're in the biennium, right? So last year's stuff carries over to this year.
Maybe.
Plus, whatever new bills get introduced. Okay, 13. What is the status of plans to develop geothermal power in the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, including Humula, North Santa Monica, and the Hawaiian Homeland? So, this really doesn't have anything to do with PGB, but yes, I participated on the Department of Hawaiian Homelands Commission, and this is what I'm aware of, is that Department of Hawaiian Homeland is interested to find out if there's a geothermal resource on Hawaiian homelands. Yeah, and the reason for that is that if Hawaiian homelands has a geothermal development, all of the revenues would go to beneficiaries to get folks off the list. That's the big picture. So, there's only interest, nothing concrete going on yet, Corey.
They have established what their plans to develop a geothermal in those areas.
It hasn't been proven yet of a viable resource. There's been a group that just did some preliminary collection of data.
It only happens when you drill wells.
You have to drill a well to really prove it. Yeah. So you can drill what is referred to as a slim hole, it's a test hole. And that you can gather data on pressure and temperature and permeability. But right now, none of that has occurred. The only thing that's occurred was collecting data at the surface. There's like looking at rocks and formations, surface manifestations, like, you know, if you're out on the coast and you come across like hot ponds, or you see steamy vents naturally occurring, that's probably a pretty good sign that there may be a geothermal resource down deeper.
So what group is collecting the data?
There was a group from New Zealand, but the contractor's name was Waika, W-A-I-K-A. You can go, I think you can probably Google it and find out. Or you can go to the HHL website, there's probably a report on it. And if not, I can send it to you.
And are they paid by the HHL?
So it's what?
Who are they paid by?
So the legislature appropriated some monies 2 sessions ago to pay for that. It was the legislature. And so your next question is, what's ORMAT involved in? ORMAT is not involved. I mean, I participate on a committee just as consultation, but ORMAT in particular is not involved in anything. If it ever comes to the point where ORMAT will be involved, then I'll be recused from any kind of decision making. So, and that's to your next question, Corey, is I did support the plans that DHHL was to try and see if there's a resource on DHHL lands. I supported that, you're correct. And you mentioned what if there's a conflict, so if there's anything to do with ORMAT, I will be recused from the discussion. And your last question is, has the Israel-Hamas war affected PGV supply chain or had other impacts on PGV? So many ORMAT employees have been called to military duty because of what the situation in the Gaza Strip. But to date, so far, it hasn't affected the PGV operations. And again, as always, Corey, thank you so much for sending it in ahead of time. I'll look up, if you can't find the WICA information, just email me and let me know. Yep. So at this time, we're open for the audience for any questions.
Oh, I emailed you and I submitted questions, but it was like probably after 3 o'clock because I was at work.
Wait, yesterday or today?
I'm in geothermal. It's only 4 questions.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Yep. I didn't have time. I'm still reviewing the EIS.
Okay.
Quick question for the accounting side, on the millions that were allocated for the community, when you guys used it, so did you guys buy them out on property and house?
For the buyout program?
I mean, like 54, is it 54
Yes, I
million?
think
So is that part of the buyout, was that the buyout
That's the
program?
buyout program. Where we're-
So those 200, whatever it was, they were bought out?
Correct. Those are people who lost their homes.
No.
Places in Leilani, vacation land, etc.
So
So was it only people that lost their homes that were able to collect on that? Or was it people with vacant land?
So those are still, I think you might have arrived late. So we've only done primary homes so far, which means that we've only bought out plots on them that had homes on them that had people living as their primary home, bless you. Second is second home, that's phase 2. That's what we're just about to transition into. And then phase 3 is undeveloped properties, and that comes last if there are remaining funds. There's a total of 811 applications, and we processed 200, just over 200. And we have about 530 remaining.
And then how much money do you got left?
Remaining funds, I believe, I just made a really neat graphic about this. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll be publishing that this week. Not just breaking down how much has been spent into where. So what went to admin fees, what's going to processing of demolition, what's going to the people who are actually working on the program. But then also another graphic showing how much funding we have left and how we're breaking that down. I want to say it's 34, but please don't quote me on that because it's been a long day. But if you follow our social media and on our website, that'll all be up by the end of the week. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you did the road too, they said that.
Don't get anything.
Yeah, we get paid, we buy them
You
out.
said
we
that
don't
first
get
or
money.
second quarter, right? You guys are looking at breaking ground for the road?
I really think it's going to be first quarter, and if it's not first quarter, we'll let everybody know, but at this point, we're on track for first quarter. If it's not going to be first quarter, you will hear from us because we will be letting everybody know that things have changed.
The
But right
Waikiki
now,
Road, right, to,
right, Pahoa Road,
from the Pahoa intersection side? right?
Correct.
Yeah.
and then up by Four Corners, and then we also have areas towards McKenzie that are being redone, and then those 2 Lake Puka areas along the ocean we're also doing as well that need to be redone after they were first done as part of the emergency work beginning of eruption.
How about the road that was open since the 50s, the Lighthouse Road that's been closed since the lava flow?
It's a great question. So during our time that we had our public meeting, we had a lot of residents that came forward and said, please wait on Lighthouse Road because they wanted to have the time to come up with a proper plan to take care of that area because it's sacred land. It's Vakipana with burial sites and other things that are listed there that it's making a lot of people worried that reopening a portion of Lighthouse Road, even though that portion has no sacred land on it in terms of the Vakipana, the people that were concerned said, can we wait and reorder that portion of the phase until the last part of the project? So instead of that being phase 1 of the project, it's now the very last thing that we're going to do, which is going to give everybody time to say, how do we want to manage this area to make sure that the land stays sacred and that visitors and tourists and people who live here don't desecrate the land. So that's where we're at. Does that answer your question?
And it led to lots more questions.
I feel you on that.
It was $63 million, right?
82 for the road and water line.
Okay, and how much of that money did you guys allocate towards the sacred land that's down there?
I can't say specifically right now, but I can look that up if you'd like. I'll give you my card when we're done and I can look up that information.
The people that are concerned, isn't that the same people that gave us those great areas like vacation land, like Pahoa Land and Development that owns the land on both sides of that?
Not that I'm familiar with. We're dealing with the lineal descendants of the area, even though that's, I believe that's the same Pahoa. We're dealing with the lineal descendants who come forward to say, here are the places that we want protected and how we want protected, but protecting that area isn't the county's responsibility because it's not the county land. We only own that first small portion of Lighthouse Road, but they're worried about once we open that small portion that it'll open up access to the entire roadway.
Okay, so isn't it Pahoa Land and Development that is maintaining the barricade that's keeping everybody out of the road that was open since the 50s?
Who's dumping all the time? Look at all that crappy dumps down there. I'm sorry, did the environmental impact statement talk about all those rocks and big red rocks and stuff that comes from not around here? And now the weeds are growing?
It's soil conservation, right? They're not supposed to put anything down there.
I
But
I'm more than
isn't that
happy
the
to give you my
same?
card and make sure that you get that. I can't answer that question right now for you, but I will find the person who knows. I'm just not aware of that.
Yeah.
So are you aware of who is maintaining the barricade down there?
I'm not specifically sure whose land you're talking about specifically.
So there's only one barricade across the road.
That's not the county line or the county land. What I'm familiar with is that we can't block out the road in that area. But like I said, let me give you my card at the end. You can email me. I will find the answer and we'll figure it out.
Okay. Did PGV get the road first 5 years ago?
They have a very different rule set to play by than we do. Very different rule set, and they have different funding. We have to play by FEMA's funding rules when it comes to the roads because they're the ones who are funding our roads.
Right, so FEMA showed up here and said, you guys have 5 years to use the money or we want it back. And that's why you guys are doing the road now. Because
I
you have to
disagree with
get-
that statement, but I can tell you that right now we are on track to break ground Q1 of this year. We've got all the plans ready to go. We're in procurement as we speak. I am confident that we'll be breaking ground very soon.
Right, so PGV would have put in the road to Bohiki for free, and it's a matter of public record.
I am unfamiliar with that, but that's not saying that that didn't happen, but if you would email me that information, that would be really helpful for me to know.
Well, it's public, it's on record, and they would have done it, but the county and the state wouldn't let them because it would have muddied the waters for the millions of dollars that you guys got and have been sitting on for 5 years. So they said, we want the money back because you aren't using it, and now you guys are
FEMA
using
has
it.
not said that.
So let me clarify for one part on us though, is that when we did our driveway, we talked with the mayor and everything, we had to go through permitting, we had to expedite engineering, which cost a pretty penny. It was all 100% PGV money. What we offered was to do road on the county to our original driveway, which would have brought that Pahiki or Kapoa Road that far.
Yeah, that Bohemian Road is.
Right.
Yeah, so we offered to, instead of, doing our road on breaking new ground, we said, hey, we would offer to do it on the county road, open it all the way up to our driveway so that other people could use it or whatnot. But the county has, legalities and certain liabilities and whatnot, which we respected. And so talking with the mayor, civil defense, planning, it was said, no, you gotta do it on your own side. And that was fine. So we went, and it cost quite a bit of money. We went parallel all the way, right? And then, so we did like 3/4 of a mile of road to go in. And that's where we ended up. But yeah, I mean, that's what we
So
offered to
you
do.
guys, you guys are the tax base for Lower Puna. You're the best job in doing it, but you are the tax base. So what happened is, the contract for PGV, how it's written, it says if you guys are denied accessibility for any reason, then you don't have to pay. So it choked off the tax money, and that's why you guys got the road first, right?
So when we asked the mayor, he said, as long as everything goes through planning, we do the full permitting, engineering, like anybody else could have done, it's okay. We did it like anybody else could. There was, in fact, after we did it, the engineering and expedited it, because this is what was promised to us, it sat with signing for over a month, or about a month. They did not. We went back and forth between CD and the mayor, and then Dr. CD, and then the mayor again, to get it signed off. Planning already signed off, and yet it still sat 4 weeks before it got signed off. And so there was absolutely no expediting or benefit that we got on timeline, that's for sure. And we paid to expedite, but yet it sat, first with planning, they did their job, and then afterwards, so it got tossed around for 4 weeks.
Right.
It was very frustrating for us too, because I mean, we paid, went by the book, 100%, did everything we were supposed to do. And even the signing took.
Right, and you guys, according to OSHA and the EPA, you guys shut down everything during that 4 weeks and you weren't running.
Oh no, we were shut down from a long time ago, yeah.
How do
And
you cap them up?
we were down, and that's why for us, it's, we take the jerk, we pay the amount to get back. Nobody else assists us and, to get back so that we can make power for the island. and it's been a battle since.
Thanks. Let me get to Sarah's questions then. You can always come back one more time. Sarah? So her first question is related to the DOH non-covered source permit for up to 60 megawatts. So what Sarah's mentioning is that we would have to amend our non-covered source permit, NHP, for phase one, including the number of geothermal wells, which right now PGB has in the NSP for 14 wells, not 22. And this is a perfect opportunity to clarify this, because even though our well designation is greater than 14, we do not have more than 14 wells.
Yeah, but so your EPA, you get up to 30 wells. You're on well 22, so you got up to 14
Well,
wells.
22
You
is
guys-
just a number. It doesn't mean it's the 22nd well is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to clarify. Well 22 is not the 22nd well that we have.
Well, it is.
It's not the 22nd, it's designated 22. I'm trying to clear that up, okay? We can only have 14 wells, but it doesn't tell us what numbers we can use or
You
cannot
only had
use.
14 wells when you got that permit. Then you somehow avoided having to apply to amend your permit since 2014, because we
So-
tried to have a contested case.
So
So
you're,
you added KS 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22
yes.
without ever applying for a non-covered source permit, Mike.
So even though we added
still
all those
haven't.
wells, we still have less than 14 wells in service. And that's what the permit allows us to use. So let me get to your question.
Okay.
Exactly when is PGB going to apply to the Department of Health to modify their NSP permit? So there's a couple trigger points that we're waiting for. Number one, we're still waiting for the PUC to accept that the environmental review is completed.
Which means the county has to approve.
We have the other steps, which means the county has to accept
They have
the
to
EIS.
Yes.
Once those steps are done, then the 36-month construction period starts.
Right.
So prior to erecting the new equipment, we're gonna have to modify the NSP.
Yes, and you're gonna have to give us a contested case, and we're gonna have, and that's gonna drag things out way
Well,
longer, because it's been
Okay,
8 years and you guys, we never got it. So
listen,
when
you will have that opportunity. I'm answering your question.
Okay.
So well,
When are you gonna do it? Just any time now or something?
Well, probably sometime this year.
so well, you're at well 14, but how many wells do you have in service?
How many wells do we have in service, guys? Production and injection, what is it, like 6 and 5?
Okay.
These guys know, I don't know the
Right.
Joy's looking at the data.
And what's capped up?
What do you mean what's capped
Well,
up?
there's questions in the
You guys
EIS.
closed them up, and that was a lot, right?
And then we put them back in service.
So how many are back in service? Your permit
That's what we
says
checked.
11 in
We have
service.
11
11 in
wells.
service, and your permits for 14.
Yes.
Is that counting KS 14? It's not in
Yes.
service?
It is.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next question for Sarah. Okay, PGB claims the project is going to reduce greenhouse gases. There's a section where it breaks down how many employees, how much diesel fuel, etc. And Sarah brought it up several times, but she says that there was a failure to mention every single pipe and flange and piece of equipment, working fluids such as 60,000 gallons of pentane and other chemicals into our underground geothermal resource. PGB buys all of it from Ormat, and all of it comes from Israel, and has to be shipped 8,800 miles across several oceans and trucked to Puna. And that is not correct. No, we get stuff from China, we get stuff from the
Okay, so you
mainland.
guys need to put that in the EIS. You haven't declared your greenhouse gas emissions.
So
You're acting like you don't cause harm, but you do.
do you review our PUC docket? You've been,
I kind of
You see some filings in there, right?
Yeah,
I saw your letter there.
I put a bunch of letters in there.
Yes, so if you look into that docket, there is a greenhouse gas analysis report.
Right.
And it breaks down all of the stuff that
Yeah,
you...
Henry Curtis told me.
Oh, and now you're asking me, and
I'm asking you again, because you didn't put it in your environmental impact. This is supposed to tell what the impact is on the environment, and you did not do it.
So she mentioned pentane gas, right? So pentane gas and volatility compared to gasoline.
it's no different.
And you
It's
guys
like
are,
unleaded gasoline. Nobody's afraid to go fill up their cars.
right, so
You
you
talk
guys
about
are using,
pentane, oh my God, Puna's gonna blow up.
right, but you guys use that basically as radiator fluid, right?
Similar. It's a yeah, it's actually a heat exchange process.
Right.
That's what the organic ranking cycle is.
A lot of freezers right now have pentane in it, just freezers, so you try
So-
to get the
You got,
ingredients,
so
keeping it cold. It's pentane,
how much of the pentane that you guys are using are you recovering?
as much as possible.
So, yeah, we are limited by what we lose. And it's in our best interest not to lose any, because if you lose,
Right, it's
you have to go
expensive,
purchase
so
it again.
who's monitoring that?
Right here, these three guys right here.
Ron, who's the agency that, Department of Clean Air,
Comes under the NSP.
How much did you lose last year?
Ron?
I don't know, man.
They're allowed
Let's
to
put it
use
this
like
way,
300
what's the
pounds a
permit
day.
limitation?
300 pounds average or over 90.
So we never exceeded the permit.
Right, so you have to, that's the saying is
Over what?
buying any other kind of gas.
Over a quarter.
It's very similar.
Yeah,
Equivalent
so
to 56
you have to have a
gallons.
federal permit, right? So OSHA and the EPA have to approve that permit.
We
You
have
guys
federal
get that
permits,
permit.
it's, yeah.
So,
we
yeah,
have-
so-
Risk management plan is a federal permit. Yeah, we have the hazard program, that's federal permits. Yeah, you're on it. What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan,
Yeah.
thanks for coming. Okay, back to Sarah. So, Henry told you about the GHG analysis at the PUC, perfect.
He did, but I don't believe it. But
Okay,
anyway, it's fine. You guys are doing anything you can to think that geothermal is gonna solve the climate crisis and everything.
okay. Number 3,
It's a greenwashing.
Yeah.
greenwashing.
Yeah.
Good one, Hannah. Greenwashing you. Okay, number 3. Why does PGV's FEIS state on page 34 that PGV is located 10 miles east of Pahoa? I don't know. But we're not that far away.
No, you're like 5 miles.
5. Maybe we had a round trip.
Yeah, how the gas goes back and forth, yeah.
Let's go. I'll go take a look. Let's go.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm going through.
That's one of dozens.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So much.
We need folks to review them, and we appreciate that.
No, you don't.
Question number 4. Larry, you like us. Question number 4. The FEIS states on page 13, the County of Hawaii Planning Department determined that an EIS was appropriate level of environmental review for the project to satisfy the PUC's request. It should be a mandate. The PUC's mandate for environmental review and to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the environmental aspects of the proposed project. Okay? And so Sarah's point is the only way to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the environmental aspects of the project is for PGV to provide data from their 8 seismometer array from 2009 to 2018 and provide the current data. So is this like the 3rd or 4th time that you're asking me
I'm
for
gonna
this?
ask you all the time.
Okay.
Because why are you hiding it if you guys don't do anything, Mike?
We're not hiding anything.
You
so
are.
I'm gonna say no again, okay?
So where is the data?
We have it.
It's in Reno, they don't have it here.
Are you a seismometer expert?
Larry is,
Really?
he makes data off the
Okay,
data
well, we'll
sets. That's
talk
all
to
we
our-
need is the data set to make it.
We're not gonna give it out
Graphs.
publicly, but I will definitely go back to our experts and see if they can talk to your expert. How's that? we're making headway. If not, I'm just gonna say no every meeting.
I don't know why it's proprietary. There's no other geothermal companies here.
I know, but other
Because it
geothermal
shows
companies.
the fractures. It's incriminating. It shows you
Oh, no,
fracturing
no.
the underground and
Other
then the logic
geothermal
there.
companies would love to have that, and they come in, swoop in, and build another plant.
Nobody else is good. There's been 50 years that they've been pushing
It's
geothermal.
required
Nobody else
everywhere
even
else in
wants
the
to be
country.
here.
I know.
Hawaii is still a colony.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
What's your name, sir? Because I got you on recording, I want you to participate. You got a
My
question?
name is Fred.
Fred, thank you for coming.
I witnessed that asking your questions does not bring the result.
Okay. No questions. Anybody got questions?
Larry?
Are your lights, all over the plant, are they shielded above?
Ron,
I can't.
are our lights shielded above? Yes. Yes.
They are, so there's no light going up, going straight up.
That's the pyramid in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, where I live, if you look at the skyline where you guys live,
Yeah, it's total blow.
it's a total blow. So, I don't know how that happens. It must be reflected.
No, I mean, it's facing down, but I mean, you're still gonna have reflected
reflect off the
ground.
equipment.
That's called the PGV halo.
You know, it's open to interpretation.
Light pollution, halo.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming.
Larry?
Yes, Larry.
Yeah, something.
You have a question?
This is not a question, this is a statement.
Okay.
I know there's at least 5 of us here who spent hundreds of hours in that interval between last April and June.
Okay.
And our concerns were totally ignored.
Okay.
I know in my case, I submitted 20 pages of comments, and it was broken by the EIS framers into 55 substantive points. From those 55 statements, I received a substantive response for maybe 5.
Okay.
That document, a high school teacher could have assigned her class a year-long project to write an EIS, and they would have done a better job.
Okay.
That is a disgrace and a total betrayal of the public interest, which supposedly is getting guarded by our government. I could talk for literally hours, but I
only got 2
I
minutes.
only can have a little bit of time, so I'm going to focus on what might be a trivial point, but it shows the complete absurdity of this document. I mean, not only is it incompetent, it's like ridiculous. So let me read this.
And you talking about the EIS?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a direct quote from the final EIS. And I want to emphasize that I pointed out in my response to the draft, I pointed that out. This is not a contentious statement. This is a simple statement of fact. And here it is. The most recent eruption in the project vicinity began in 2018 and continued until December 13th, 2022.
So Larry, you got 2 minutes right there, but does anybody else have any other questions?
I got a question.
How about if you summarize
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Summarize
Give you
it.
another 2 minutes.
The
Not as
most
much, but
recent
you wrap it
eruption
up.
in the project vicinity began in 2018 and continued until December 13th, 2022. In other words, the eruption, did
It's still
anybody else
going,
notice
yeah, it
that?
just ended.
Did anybody else notice that?
I mean,
The eruption lasted 4.5 years.
Okay.
That is the statement. I pointed that out, and then they referred me to Neal et al., a peer-reviewed scientific document,
Okay.
which states, in 2018, Kilauea volcano experienced its largest LERZ, Lower East Rift Zone eruption and caldera collapse in at least 200 years. After the collapse of the Puna vent on 30th April, magma propagated down. Eruptive fissures opened in the LERZ, eventually extending about 6.8 kilometers.
Okay.
They say that the eruption, this ended in December 2022. This is in the document. I pointed out, who wrote this? A kindergarten teacher would know that. And I pointed that out to them, and it is still in the document. And it refers to a scientific document to try and, I'll tell you what ended on December 13, 2022, and that was the most recent Mauna Loa eruption. And whoever prepared this document did not have the intelligence to distinguish between the 2018 eruption and the 2023 eruption. And that is totally typical. That document is full of absurdities, and that's not the most important part. It totally suppresses and neglects facts, which I have displayed here before, that there was a massive...
Oh, you wanna- he had a
Next
question.
I'm curious, okay, so 5 people spent hundreds of hours in the vault at PGB, and you guys are talking about greenhouse gases, right? So here we are today, and we all use the grid, the fire department, the police department, the school system, everybody uses the grid, right?
No,
There's
there's a lot of us
generators.
here that don't.
No, not.
Well, you don't stop at the stoplights, they're run on the grid,
Yeah,
right?
well, for sure, I mean...
Well, I'm a market.
You guys are spending all these hours on PGV, right?
Because they're
So
threatening
PG&E
the
is the power-
continued
they're the
existence
power
of life as
generator.
we know it on this island.
They're the power generator.
They are one of many.
For
I
Halco,
don't
right?
thought.
So Halco is running the generator in KL in huge greenhouse gas emissions, right? So generators from 1953, why isn't anybody paying attention to that, right?
Because it doesn't poison us. We don't have to call emergencies, civil defense emergencies. We don't get gassed in our homes, Brian. Come on, honey.
And greenhouse gases are.
They were
one
injecting
massive-
water during the eruption. The lava was
You're-
blowing up right when they were
Microbes.
injecting water.
Right, so is anybody measuring the vents, right? What are the
No,
vents?
they don't
what are
measure the vents.
don't
They're
measure
connected
anything.
straight to PGV. They
We would
start
like to. We-
subsiding.
They're not-
They're not
private property. I would love to
And
get access to them.
PGV,
Most of them are on your property.
No, it's not.
Bullshit.
Well,
there are
the size of the
thousands of them that are
It's
not
not.
on their
All
property.
you gotta do is Google Maps.
Yep.
If it was, we'd be monitoring, but we can't.
Okay,
It's on private
Actually,
property.
I have a question.
Paul?
And if this one's easier.
Oh,
Are you guys gonna put out a notice to the people close to the plant and do what kind of case?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
and you know, I appreciate that you took the names of the people and you sent out letters, and I got a letter last time.
Yeah.
It was nice, but I got the letter the day after you come with it.
Okay,
So I'm wondering, is there any way you can send out an email or a text rather than a letter? that
how
goes
about
to
you
the post
email me with everyone's email that they're interested in, and we'll make sure that we get
That's awesome.
No, the email would be a lot easier
Well,
than.
it'd be easier
Oh,
for everyone.
yeah,
because
you-
it. But send it to me.
All right, I'll send it to you.
So we're gonna, Anna,
Format is an Israeli company.
no, it's an American company, publicly traded, and the American stock exchange. Picture.
How about Hawaiian Homeland?
This is,
I
How about Hawaiian Homeland?
We're not publicly
They're
traded.
telling you, the day
What's that?
Wait, let Hannah finish.
yeah.
I can talk
I was
about
only
it.
gonna say, just for the record, because I wanted to acknowledge the genocide of the Palestinian people. Ew. Also, so this 300 pounds over 3-month period, the quarter, that's the what you guys are permitted to release, right? And I'm just wondering where these releases are happening, because I might be able to plant you some beneficial microbes, so, or mushrooms. So I want to know where this pentane release is happening.
So do you guys want to answer that? It's typically
Pentane
what,
release.
maintenance.
Or like this
Where
is
we
the loss, yeah, where
So
are
we have a
these
leak on a
losses?
piece of equipment. If your radiator has a leak, you lose coolant.
Okay.
You want to stop it right away as much as possible, because if not, you gotta buy coolant to replace it. You fix the damage, fill it back up. What we do also on recovery is we have a vapor recovery system. It's a vacuum and chiller. So anytime, like example, you're gonna do work on your gas tank, you cannot just start fixing it with gasoline in it, right? You empty out the liquid, all the vapor, then you slingshot that out of there with nitrogen. You run it through a vacuum system that has a compressor, a heater, a vacuum, heater, compressor, chiller, accumulator. And then it pumps to our tank. So we try to recover everything as much as possible, get it back into a liquid form, store it, and then refill the unit.
I think just like what John is talking, is like when we perform maintenance, we do experience some losses.
Yeah, I mean, if you transfer in pipe or when you break a fitting or whatnot.
And you guys, do you get ever close to this 300 pounds over a 3-month period?
It depends if we have, if we have damage on units or leaks or whatnot, it varies. But I mean, it's like even when at the gasoline pump, right? As soon as you open it up and the fume's coming out, you're losing some stuff out of your, some fuel.
Yeah.
So everything that anytime you break a fitting, you lose something.
So how much did you buy last year for
One or two, what do we do, 2? And what did it do, 6?
There's 6,000 gallon containers, but luckily we get 10,000 gallons out of them.
So I'd say like,
Maybe
Also-
4,500 each, maybe.
yeah, so anywhere from 10 to 12,000 gallons.
Because of just the losses that occurred when you guys have transferred the 6,000 containers?
If we had leaks, if we had
Or,
usage.
listen, it could have been that we didn't need it because we're rebuilding our equipment, and then all of a sudden the equipment's available and we ordered it.
But because each year we've done more and more, right?
Equipment.
Wells, equipment running, and so it depends what we had in storage to what we want to run at that time. And as we are starting up our equipment, we got to fill them all up, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to race all of our cars, we need coolant for every
Can
one.
you report emissions to the CAF?
CAF?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's the.
DOE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
NSP, the non-covered source permit.
It takes fumes or it works out.
Mostly fumes, it evaporates, just like gasoline, if you have an open container, the fumes, that occurs. So, Anna, thank,
We got good.
I mean, we'll be around. If anybody wants to stay around and talk some more, we'll be around. You can help us put the chairs away and all that. But before we shut down, you guys, I have a joke. Try to make Sarah smile at least. There you go. What is the difference between unlawful and illegal?
The difference?
So unlawful is when you break the law. Illegal is a sick bird. Happy New Year,